Yes. Welcome to the Joy Mohami Show. I am Joy, your host, and I'm here with Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Joy. And hello, everyone. How are you today?
So good to have this conversation with you. It's been a long time coming. I am so excited. And I
Mhm.
would love us to begin at the beginning, just telling the people who you are, your work, and all the things.
Okay. So I'm a mindset and high performance coach, and I basically work with leaders or people who want to go on that journey of self leadership, just help them positively transform for higher performance in any of their areas, whether it's social or personal or professional, so that they can have higher impact for themselves at individual levels and then for the people that they lead and they serve. Because all of us are managers and directors of our own lives. So I just help people figure out their life purpose,
Mm,
and I help them see the power and control they have within themselves to live that life purpose. All of us are here on this planet for some reason or other. And when we understand and know what that is, and also know that we do have the power and control within ourselves to lead that life that we're here for, it
mm,
becomes a beautiful, gorgeous life full of activities that bring us joy. And the more we're joyful, the more we attract all that positive energy toward us. And the more we bring in more people who are also seeking that. And so by living our authentic lives, we are also allowing other people to see that it's possible. And in that way, we're indirectly helping other people to live their lives, the life that they want to lead and the life that they're here on this planet
mm,
for. So basically, that's what I do.
yeah. Um, I think that a lot of people know this. I think people are becoming aware of this
Yeah.
conscious living. In fact, our
Yeah.
conversation is on conscious leadership, spiritual
Yeah.
beings having a human life or a human
Hmm.
experience. And it's
Hmm.
often so philosophical, I think, or people perceive it as a very philosophical thing. So I want us to really break it down to really
Okay.
explain what conscious leadership is and infusing that with spirituality and this human experience.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. So for me, if I could break it down, the way that I see the word consciousness is being awake, right? It's
mm,
being awake, aware of what's going on in your environment, and using your intuition and your gut instinct as your guiding tool or your guiding torch. So, if something does not sit right with you and you go the opposite direction from that thing that does not sit well with you, then in that way you're being conscious, you're being aware of who you are and what makes you happy and what brings you joy. So when we dumb down or don't listen to that little tug or that voice within you, that's telling you something, whether it's, let's jump, let's go into this, whichever path you want to take. If we don't listen to that, we are not being conscious, we're not being aware of that voice within us, we're not being aware of who we truly are at our core. So I see ourselves as spiritual beings who are living a human life. So this human life is it's like a coat on top of your spirit. So your spirit is all knowing, it knows why you're here on this planet, right? But it does not know how to express itself. So this body, the way that I see it, is the body now is the tool that the spirit can use to actually express itself and to live the life that is worth living. So the spirit, the way that it speaks to us and tells us the right path to take is that intuition, is that gut instinct, is that little voice inside you that says, hey, this is the right way, or maybe this is not the right way. When we take time to listen to that voice, and it can come in many different aspects, right? For example, for those who are Christians, when we pray, it's us asking God or being grateful to God for something, and the way that God answers is by the way we can listen to God is by creating those silent spaces. And for those who meditate, sitting down is the same act. We're listening to what is going on within us and following the things that bring us joy, being aware of what is going through our minds, and then taking the things that feel right. So when we talk about life purpose, for example, a lot of people will be like, well, I don't know what my life purpose is and I don't know how I can figure it out. The way to do that is when you listen to your intuition, when you listen to your gut instinct, when you follow the things that you're curious about, the things that bring you joy, I see those as little breadcrumbs that are leading you to your life purpose. So the things that are edging you on, the things you're really curious about and you want to go get more information about, go do that. The things that bring you joy, whether it's painting, whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's a different career that you're in, all those things are little breadcrumbs that are leading you on the path that you're here for. So when we stop and listen and become conscious and self-aware and meditate and pray or find those quiet moments with ourselves, with our spirit, with our soul, we're listening to that, we're plugging into that so that we can really hear what it is that we're here on this planet for. And that's what conscious leadership is. You are being conscious of that little voice. You're being conscious of the things that bring you joy. You're being conscious of the things that you're curious about and giving them the time and space for you to feed into, to plug into that. It's like feeding your soul, isn't it? Like if you have a cup, the way that you make sure that your cup is full is by making sure that you're always pouring the juice that you want into that cup, whether it's tea, whether it's, whatever juice you want to put into it, whether it's water, something that serves you. And then what happens is when it's full, it starts to overflow. And when it overflows, we give others the overflow. We don't give others what's inside the cup, because that means they're taking away from us. We give people of what is overflow, because the overflow is who we are. It's not like they're depleting our resources. In that respect, when we give love, for example, we are not expecting the love in return. When we give money or when we give whatever, we're not giving it because we want something in return, because our cup is already full. If we give from the overflow, we are giving that person essentially, or that, it doesn't have to be a person, an animal, anything, essentially who we are, and it's not taking away from who we, what we need. And so we do not feel depleted. It becomes joyful to give to other people because we're giving from our overflow, because we ourselves have taken time to fill our cup. It goes on to that discussion of self-love, for example. Unfortunately, in our society, for most people, when I'm coaching to say, what do you do for self-love? A lot of people don't do anything to look after themselves. And self-love, again, is like filling that cup, is to say you want to make sure that you're giving yourself the information, the juice, the activity, whatever it is, so that it can become full and overflow. Because when you now have overflow, you can share that genuinely with other people. Whereas if you're having to give from an empty cup, it becomes exhausting, and you're then not giving fully of yourself to other people. So self-love and self-care, in whichever way you describe it for yourself, because everyone is different, is really important. And literally schedule it in your diary to say once a day or once a month or once a week, I have to do this. I have to go to my well to fill myself up. It could be in prayer, it could be meditation, it could be in activities that seem simple, but are really important. Getting your nails done, getting your hair done, reading a book that leads you down the path that you want to lead, and different things. So it's that it all boils down to do the things that bring you joy, follow the things that you're curious about, because that increases your self-awareness, that increases your consciousness, and with that, it leads you to see how you're actually connected with other people. Because the more we do the things that we're doing that bring us joy, the more we are joyful, the more we attract other people in our circles, and the more we can actually see that when we're taking that statement that says that we are spiritual beings who are living a human life, our spirits are all connected, right? But now we've put that coat on of being a human being to say, well, I'm a Black woman, or I'm a white person, or I'm a leader, or whatever it is. And unfortunately, when we don't take time to remove the coats over our spirits, we stop to see the connection that we have from human being to human being, because that conscious thread that connects us, that spirit that connects us, is all part of a higher power, whatever that higher power is, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, whether it's Buddha, whatever it is connecting all of us. So the way that now we are living this physical life as human beings sometimes sees us as separate people, but we are not separate, we are connected. And when we follow our joy and the things that make us curious and engage in them, our consciousness of ourselves, first of all, as individuals, is revealed. And the more we do that, the more we actually illuminate and attract all the other connections that we have with other people.
Wow. I mean, I'm just like, I love everything you say. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to touch? What will I begin with? Love it so much.
Yeah.
I call pretty much what we've been sharing the ancestral way of being. And because I'm an ancestral healer, and I know truly that our ancestors used to live from intuition. You know, that they survived without GPS, without all these gadgets that we have, because they lived deeply connected to that intuition, to this voice, the silence within, the voice within, you know. And so pretty much a lot of the work that healers, coaches do, I keep finding, is to return us to this basic internal GPS that we have, internal guidance system, internal connection, internet, you know, it's the internet inside you, you know.
Absolutely.
And I felt like a lot of people, because it's so simple, they just don't trust it, you know, like this. Your intuition says don't do this or do this, but it's just like, no, it cannot be true, you know. And I think it's also because of the current systems and how things are currently done in the world, that has made it very difficult for people to trust their intuition, and also to go where the highest excitement is, where the highest joy is. I was just having a conversation with my aunt, who is a really powerful, not powerful, well, she's powerful, but like a designer. And she loves this, and she does this so like quickly, and it's just a gorgeous thing that she creates. And after this, she wants to separate herself and go do something else. And I just asked her, what would it be like to just do this thing that gives you this highest joy? And she's just feeling scared, anxiety comes up. Can we speak about really how people could live from their highest joy, considering how the modern world is currently designed, the way the system is like? You know, a lot of people they know what their joy is, but they don't know how to go about living that joy and how to trust that intuition when it says just go be the designer.
Definitely. So first of all, I love the term that you use in terms of internal GPS. We do have an internal GPS, don't we? But sometimes we just, because of the expectations of other people or the expectations of society or culture or all that stuff, we then hide our internal GPS and then do what other people are doing or saying we should do. And if you really think about that, that means we're just puppets. And that can't be a life, surely. I would toss and turn. In fact, I know that when I have chosen, because there are times, as much as I speak about internal GPS, there are at times when I have forgotten to listen to that GPS, internal GPS, and I find myself engaged with things that are not okay. And I literally toss and turn in the middle of the night, or I wake up angry or unsettled or something that just does not feel right. And when I stop and give myself that quiet time to really listen, I can pinpoint straight away where the wrong turn was that I took. And it's now about, going back to say, okay, no, that was the wrong turn. I have learned from this. It's a lesson I've learned. I do not berate myself about it. I say, okay, next time the better way to do it is this way. And so I grow from that as a human being. And that's the beautiful thing of being a human being as well, is we grow from experiences. And we're all going to fail one way or the other, right? And it's okay to fail as long as you are failing forward, like what Lisa Nichols says, or you are learning from that failure and not doing it over and over again, because it's pointless doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results, right? Like Albert Einstein says, that's the definition of insanity. So rather change different ways that you're doing. So that's one part. The second part is, one of the reasons that we don't follow our intuition or our joy is fear, if you really think about it. And the question you should ask, or we should all ask, is what am I afraid of? And if you take the acronym FEAR for fear, it's false evidence appearing real. We tell ourselves, well, if I do this, then, you know, this is going to happen. But actually, we don't have any proof that it's going to happen. So the more we say it over and over again, the more it starts appearing real. So we've provided false evidence that's now appearing real because we keep saying it over and over again. And what I love about fear, again, I'm borrowing from Lisa Nichols, is that fear is a little tug that says, okay, the reason maybe you're not doing this is because you're afraid. And you're afraid because you don't have enough information. So perhaps instead of stopping in your tracks and taking a wrong direction, which is not in line with your intuition or the things that bring you joy, how about going to get more information about that thing that you really want to do? And whilst you're doing that, don't stop in your tracks. Slowly move toward it. And whilst you're moving toward it, get more information as you travel along, because you don't want to get false evidence. You want to get the real, tangible information. So go and research more about that thing that you want to do. Why do you want to do it? If it's something that speaks to you, then it's something for you. And the reason why you're not jumping is because maybe you are afraid of something that you actually don't have any evidence of. So let's use a real life example, right? Let's say you're in an 8-to-5 job. So for myself, I could never do an 8-to-5 job. It does not work. I've tried it. And there are times where I've even fought with myself, saying, no, just do it because that's how society should be, and you'll get a regular paycheck, and all those reasons and evidence that I created for myself in my mind because that's what I was told by other people. And so I would go on those journeys, would not feel comfortable in an 8-to-5 job. And then I sat back and said, actually, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do brings me joy. This 8-to-5 work that I'm doing is not okay. It's not for me. It takes me a long time to get out of bed in the morning to go to work. And then I have all these reasons that come up. Oh no, but I need to pay my bills. I need to pay my rent. I need to be able to buy food and all that stuff. So then what happens in those situations is, what I always advise people is have an exit plan. If you're in a space that you know is not okay for you, that does not serve you, have an exit plan. So for me, my exit plan to leave an 8-to-5 job was I gave myself 6 months. I said, okay, what am I afraid of? And the thing I was most afraid of was paying rent. Because if I become an entrepreneur, I'm not going to have a regular check, right from the beginning. It's going to take me time. So how about in the next 6 months, I will stay in this 8-to-5 job, and each month I'm going to save 90% of my salary and live in a way where I'm just covering the basics. I'm not going out shopping. I'm not spending more money than I should be. And then with that, I am able to then pay my rent in advance for the next year, next 12 months. So that now when I go back into entrepreneurship, I'm not having to worry about paying rent. I've removed the thing that I'm afraid of by actively doing something about it. So I paid all my bills in advance as further as I could, so that when I then left the 8-to-5 job, I had something to fall back on. I did not have to worry about paying my bills. I left knowing that my bills were paid in advance, because that was my biggest fear, not having a roof over my head. And whilst I was also in that job, the 8-to-5 job, over the weekends and evenings after I left work, I made sure that I was working on the things that brought me joy, because it is difficult sometimes to just jump into something because you don't know how it would work out. So having that exit plan helps. Other questions, real life examples that I usually get asked from, for example, young people who are wanting to choose maybe a different degree from what their parents want them to choose. Sit down with your parents, and it's not a once-off conversation, right? And ask them, why do you want me to do this degree? And more times than not, it's because parents think, or they know, that if you do, for example, become a doctor, it's easier for you to get work because there's always work as a doctor. Whereas if you want to become an artist, you really never know whether you'll get work or not. So how about, as a young people, go do as much research as you can around the types of work that you can engage in whilst you do the degree that you're doing, or once you finish that degree that you want to do, so that your parents are not afraid of allowing you to do the things that you really want to do, because you've answered the question that they're really afraid of. So in anything that you do, the reason why you might be stopping is because of fear. Now take fear as your friend. Take fear as your GPS to say, the reason why I'm afraid to jump into my joy, to jump into the things I'm curious about is because of this thing. And the reason why I'm afraid is because I actually don't have enough information around that thing. So where can I get that information? And how can I make sure that I can build up from it as opposed to running away from it? So fear is like a hump in your road. When you're driving along, you have to slow down because there's a hump. And sometimes you can't see over the hump. You don't know what's there. But if you slow down and go up the hump a little bit, you can see more on what's on the other side, right? And that's exactly what it is. Take fear with you on your side as something that says, hey, we don't know enough information about this. Let's go get more information whilst we are moving slower as opposed to rushing through it. Because a lot of people think, well, if I rush into the things I'm joyful about, or if I rush into the things I'm curious about, then I'm going to lose all senses, right? And that maybe it's okay to feel that way, but don't stop completely and then take a direction that does not bring you joy or that you're not happy about. Rather slow down, and as you're slowing down, you're collecting information, moving toward the direction that you want to go.
Wow, I love this. I call fear or any other emotion that feels outside comfort sacred messenger. Really, but pretty much everything is a sacred messenger. You are just being given a message. It's information. Right. So I do this chakra scan with my clients. Where I would ask you, just closing your eyes a bit and tapping into where you're finding the resistance in the body. Because the body holds also a lot of information and people don't know this. Right? And so the person will do a scan and they will find that when they think about this career, they just start feeling tension in the throat. They feel tension here, maybe in the heart or in the or at the back. And that can give you information on what you fear most about this particular thing you want to jump into. So if you're feeling the discomfort here in the throat chakra is the center for expression, right? The center for communication. So there's a fear coming up about expressing yourself or speaking your truth. Or that maybe people will speak back and their words will be harmful to you. But like once you know, and I've seen people just getting mind blown because they're like, oh, that's why I don't want to do this because I'm afraid as an entrepreneur, I would have to go out and advertise. Oh my God, that's it. Now you have something to work on, right? And so it is a sacred messenger, and it's something that we need to be doing, like this scanning of self, or saying, what is this fear asking me, or what is this fear telling me right now about anything? It really doesn't have to be about entrepreneurship. It could be about love. It could be about whatever it is that's coming up in your life. Instead of running or getting in a corner and shutting down and pressing and pretending it doesn't exist, just face it. I think that's what people mean. Like, face your fears. It's not necessarily go jump, do skydiving. It could just be like, why am I afraid of skydiving? What does this remind me of? Where does it take me? And then many times for me in my work, because I work with a lot of memories, childhood memories, a lot of ancestral memories, people can pinpoint where the fear comes from. They're like, oh yeah, it's not that I'm afraid of the act of jumping off, but it's because this reminds me of that one time in the window when I was 4 years old, and so it's still a false evidence, as you're saying, because this person now is stuck in the past and they're afraid to jump into that future. So I mean, I love the conversation of fear.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? With the false evidence appearing real, you can turn it on its head. And I'll give you an example. You know, when you're excited about something, your heart beats, right? You're excited to see a friend, you're excited to start something new that you've been waiting for. So your heart beats. Or if you're afraid of something and you're anxious about something, your heart also beats. So the thing is, conscious, it's saying, is being aware of your body, like what you're saying, that our body does absorb all the stuff. It's saying, okay, my body is acting this way, so how can I use that information toward what I want in life? So if your heart beats when you're both excited and when you're afraid, it's up to you to then say, actually, you know what, my heart is beating not because I'm afraid. My heart is beating because I'm feeling excited and ready. So that's the FEAR, feeling excited and ready, right? You get to define that, because your body will act whichever way, but you as a conscious being gets to define what you want your body to act toward. And the acronym FEAR can also mean face everything and rise. Because when you face your fears, when you face your growth, when you face your joy, you're building, you're growing, you're becoming the human being that you've been brought on this planet for. I mean, there's 7.7 billion people on this entire planet, and there's only one Barbara, there's only one Joy. I can never be you, even if I tried, right? So with knowledge that you among 7.7 billion people are the only person with your fingerprint, that should just make you sit up straight to just say, hey, I am the only person who is me. So why not live the best version of my life? Because no one else can be me, even if they tried. And I can never be anyone else because everyone else is taken, right? I can never try to be anyone else. Why can I not be the best version of myself? Because only I can be that. And even when we talk about competition, I can never compete with you. And you can never compete with me because we've both got different gifts. Yes, we are connected as spiritual beings, but we've all got different gifts that when we both grow together in our gifts and bring them together, the world becomes amazing. I mean, the world would be so bland if we're all the same and doing the same thing. And when we all enhance and look at people who are doing very well in their own lives, not to say, oh, I wish I was that person, or I'm going to compete with that person, but to say, look, this person is also a human being like I am. If they can do that, then surely I can't have any excuses to say I can't live the life that I want to lead, right? So we can use people as examples to say, if that person who's also a human being can live authentically and be great, whether it's a sportsman or sportswoman or Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, whoever it is you look up to, if they're doing and living life on a grand scale and they themselves are also human beings, nothing can stop you to live your purpose. So let's use people, let's remove this conversation around competition and use other people as examples, because there's only one you. If you literally think about it, 7.7 billion people on this entire planet, and there's only you. And when you face your fears, when you embrace your growth, when you follow the things you're curious about, when you follow your joy, you are growing, you are becoming the light in your own tunnel of your own life, as opposed to waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel, because perhaps you're in the wrong tunnel, perhaps it's someone else's light. How about choosing the tunnel you want to be and being the light in that tunnel for yourself, right? That's amazing. That's amazing. We really have the power and control within our own bodies. From your own work with body work and chakras, we literally have the power and control in our own minds by knowing what we're feeding into our brains. What are we watching on TV? What are we reading in newspapers and magazines? All of that is feeding into who we are. So if you have an inkling, follow your curiosity, follow your joy toward the things that make you feel whole and happy, and then seek more information along those lines, you're feeding your mind, you're feeding your body, you're enhancing who you are and why you're here on this planet. And it's difficult, for example, for adults especially, because you've lived your life over and over again following the societal script, and whether or not that script was good for you. One thing I always say is, society is not a dark old building downtown somewhere. Society is literally other people who have put rules and regulations that other people should follow. So if society are other people, and the things and the rules that are there are not in line with who you know you are, what your joy is, what you're curious about, what your intuition says, then don't follow that, because that's not who you are. You're literally becoming a puppet of the systems, of the culture, of the society that's there. Now, I'm not saying the journey is easy. It's lonely when you take that journey because the masses are following what society has been saying. And if you think about it, if you, for example, are a 30-year-old or 40-year-old, you've had 3 to 4 decades or more of following what society has says you should do. And so perhaps that's all you know. But if you're listening and watching this conversation that I'm having with Joy and, her brilliance in the work that she does in elevating more voices, hers, mine, and other people who've come on this platform, to understand that there are other ways of living. And that when you take that step, whether it's a giant leap or one step toward the right direction, you will live a life that is more fulfilled. And the more you get to do that, the more you get to elevate other people, especially if you're a mother, especially if you're a father, a parent, a person who's looking after other young people. They are seeing you as the example, especially if you're a coach, a teacher of any, of any magnitude, especially if you're a person who works with other people. People are watching you, and that's what society is. We are watching what other people are doing. We're listening to what other people are doing and then following suit. So the question is, the people you are following, are they in line with what your intuition is saying, what your gut instinct is saying? If not, you might need to change your social circles. You might need to change what you're watching on TV. You might need to change what you're listening to. You might need to change what you're reading so that whatever you are engaging with is feeding directly to what you are curious about. And the simple place to start, if we're to break that down, and Joy, please feel free to jump in at any stage. I get so excited and I go on and on.
I understand.
The best thing I always ask is, there's that statement that says you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So what you can do is you can list down all the people you spend most of your time with. So 3 to 5 people. And don't write mother, father, friends, whatever it is. Write down their names. And then look at that list and say, I am the average of those 5 people. So if on that list, those 5 people are earning, for example, $1 a year, and I want to be a millionaire, I can tell you right now that forget it, because you'll never become a millionaire. Because the mindset that's keeping those people at earning $1 a year is never going to get them to earning $1 million a year. So, and you are the average of that group. You're part of that group. And I hope you have put your name on that group as well, because you take you everywhere that you go, right? So it's about looking at the people you're spending most of your time with, because whether you like it or not, they're feeding into who you are as a human being. And if that is not in line with what your intuition is, it's going to be so difficult for you to break that mold, because you don't want to lose your friends, you've known them for a long time, or because, I don't know, whatever reasons you're giving yourself. Here's another question. Whatever reasons you're giving yourself, are they really reasons or are they excuses? And be truly honest with yourself. Sometimes we give ourselves reasons when they're actually excuses, because we are afraid of something. It goes back to that conversation we're having, Joy, on, when you're afraid of something, or when you're not going along with things that you're joyful about or that you're curious about, it is because you're afraid of something. So the question to ask when you're having this internal battle within yourself is, what am I afraid of? And once you pinpoint it and highlight it, then go get more information that feeds into that, so that it breaks it down, and then you're not afraid of it anymore.
Wow. I love it. I love this. I'm like, yes. And oh my God, what am I going to start with? Because I resonate everything you're saying, on the topic of you are the only one in the world. I also love expanding that and telling people that also you're the only one who exists in your reality. Like you're the only one who lives with your thoughts, with your body. We might even be in the same house, me and my sister, but we are in 2 different realities, And for me, that's when I had like a different shift internally, when I realized that this is my reality alone. Like no other person is going to experience my pain, my joy, my excitement, my bliss. So why would I ever want to give other people authority to lead my reality? Since this conversation is about leadership as well, right? That you are leading your life, and whether you know it or not, you are the one determining the life that you are leading. You are creating that. You are the master. You are the driver, right? But are you the kind of driver who's allowing other people to come in and say, oh, no, go this way, or that way, and that way? And there's a lot of fear around relinquishing, other people's GPS and focusing on your own internal one, for sure. You've talked quite a lot about it. The internal GPS, the intuition, is a language that is not spoken of. It is a language that we all have, right? And the language of spirit, the language of the soul. And we're not taught about this language of the soul and how it can really make leadership, consciously leading your life, so much easier. So when I finished my training as an ancestral healer, my teacher said, "Oh, go now, go and do the work." And I'm like, "Sorry, okay, what do you mean? What do I start with? Tell me everything. What should I do?" And he's like, you will know. You will be guided. So you'll be guided by spirit. You'll be guided by your ancestors. And I mean, I've always been an intuitive person, but even in this, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here is a person coming in. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I was consistently told by every other healer that being a healer or being a coach, also, I want to add, being a human being is something that is like your life already is certain, right? And your life already is perfect, for lack of a better word. It is just is. It is whole. Like there's nothing to add to it. And a lot of it is just like remembering to tune into this internal GPA and allow things to unfold, right? So for me, being told that no, your skill set as a healer will just naturally unfold. You'll be guided. You'll be shown all the things. And I might say you'll be shown all the things, but the truth of the matter, now I'm understanding, it was always me showing myself the next moment, and the next moment, the next moment, because I am my ancestors, I am my guides, I am my higher self, right? So and ever since then, I mean, it's been a journey, of course, obviously, of learning to trust intuition. And it's the more you trust this intuition, it's all these other things that seem to matter a lot, like I need to be sure, I need to have a certificate, I need to have the money to really be pursuing my joy, they seem to disappear once you just listen to the voice. When the voice says, right now, go paint, go write the poem, send the poem out, design the dress, someone will come up. Like for me, literally, this is how I live. And I think people think I'm joking when this is what they mean by like providence is you're already provided for. It's so real. I don't know. Speaking to
I totally hear you. No, I totally, and it's not to say that it has been an easy journey in any way, because of all the questioning that we have. And if you really think about it, the questions we have that stop us from doing the things we want to do are actually other people's voices that we've taken to be our own, to say, well, what if someone says this, or what if I lose this person, or what if whatever it is, it's other people's voices that are in our heads, right? And I love how you say, we follow our intuition. It's practice. It really is. Your intuition is like building a muscle, and the more and more you listen to your intuition, and the more and more you follow your gut instinct, the more, and I love the fact that your teachers sort of push you out there and say, listen, you've got it inside you, and you go and do it, right? And the more you practice, the more you become stronger and more in tune with who you are inside, and the more you start accepting yourself more, the more you actually see, like what you said, the self-confidence is really there already, and you just have to embrace. So it's the practice part. You have to follow your gut instincts more times than not. If you're following your gut instinct maybe 5 out of 10 times a day, now follow it 6 times, then tomorrow 7 times, then tomorrow 8 times, until you can do it all the time. It's a journey, because again, it's about breaking the habits that we've been following from the time before. So we can use the metaphor of a gym. So if following intuition is like building the muscle of intuition. If you are eating bad food every day and not exercising a couple of times a week, then your muscles might atrophy perhaps, or you might gain more weight than you want to. But if you know that, when I exercise, I feel happy and it makes me joyful and I'll eat even healthier, then you're practicing that every day. It becomes a lifestyle. It doesn't become, oh no, I have to lose 10 pounds in the next 2 days because I have to fit into a dress or whatever it is, right? It becomes a lifestyle. So the more you embrace your intuition and your gut instinct and follow the things that bring you joy and happiness, they're already there. So all you're doing is just collecting breadcrumbs toward your bread at the end of the journey. And the end of the journey is not tomorrow or in 10 years time. The end of your journey of your human life is when you die. So when you look at that, when you look at your life as a journey, to say, I'm going to live this life following my intuition, which is my spirit, because it knows why I'm here. And I just have this body to make sure that I can elevate that voice, that inner chakra, right? That takes you to where you want to go. Then it becomes a life of true joy. And like what you said, it's about that one step, one at a time. Build that muscle of your intuition. Build that muscle of, even if you think, well, I really don't know what my gut instincts sounds like, or my intuition sounds like. Whatever it is that tugs within you, follow that. And if it's truly your intuition, it will lead you toward the things that you're curious about, the things that bring you joy, which means now you actually now know, oh, so when that happens in my body, that's actually my intuition. That's actually my gut instinct. Those butterflies, whatever it is, the more you turn the volume up on it, the more you follow it, the more you start to realize, okay, when it says this, that actually means that that's the right path or that's the wrong path. And you can only know that when you jump in, when you start following and increasing the volume on it, and when you practice things. And that's what self-leadership is. Because when you understand that each of us are leaders, each of us are managers and directors of our own lives, it actually becomes easier to lead other people. And when I say lead other people, I don't mean like put a harness on them and give them rules and regulations to say you should act this way. But it allows you to provide a space for other people to start also tapping into their own intuition and their gut instincts, so that they can live the life that they want to lead, the life that they know they want to lead. Because we can never lead other people, especially if we ourselves are not taking the journey to lead ourselves, because then we don't have an understanding of what that leadership means. And the best teacher is yourself. When you lead yourself, it becomes easier for you to lead other people, because you understand that journey that everyone needs to follow to be a leader. Yeah. So self-leadership is really important. Being conscious, being self-aware, using everything in life, whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, as a learning platform for you to grow. The most beautiful thing about being a human being is that we can be anything in this entire world. We can be anything. We do not have to be in a box that society, which are other people, say we should be. We can be anything in our life that brings us joy.
You are also society. That's what I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Other people.
Yes. It is people. And then we say, oh no, that's our culture. Oh no, that's, whatever. But the thing is, the only thing that's constant in a human being's life is change. We are not the same people we were 2 years ago. We are not the same people we were when we were babies or teenagers or whatever stage, right? The only thing that's constant is change. So why fight change? So when you say, oh no, that's our culture, what you're actually saying is, no, we don't want to change because that's how we used to do things all along. But it's like, I respect culture because it's got rules and regulations that work for us at that stage. But because we're human beings and we're changing, we need to change those rules to allow for that intuitive voice within each of us to grow and for us to follow our paths. So if culture that we're using as a crutch is bringing us down, that's not okay. And I'm not saying all of culture is bad. I'm just saying we need to look at the different aspects of culture that serve us now and move forward with those in whichever stage we are in our lives, And then the ones that are not serving us at the moment, those can be put on the table or put on the side, or they can work for other people who are also working that journey. But we can't use culture as a crutch to say, well, I don't want to grow, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to speak up, or I can't do this because I'm a woman, I'm a man, and that's what society or culture says. We can't do that, because by doing that, we're embracing the very things that are limiting who we are as human beings. We are awesome human beings. Everyone is amazing. Every single person, from a one day old baby to a 99-year-old person, has something to bring to the table. And when we as individuals take that to be conscious of who we are and what we need, and then make plans to live that life and actually live that life, we are opening ourselves up to the best version of ourselves, because no one else can be us. And so when we don't take that leap, when we don't take that jump, we are showing the people who are coming beside us and behind us and those in front that actually it's okay to live a mediocre life. And it's not. We're wasting away. We don't know when we're going to die physically as human beings. Yes, our spirit lives on, depending on what you understand your spirituality to be about. But this is the only physical body we have. So how about taking that physical body and its abilities and then using it as a vessel to live the life that our spirit knows, the life we should be living about. So that's what life is about, literally. Just using our human body in a productive way that helps us lead the life that our spirit knows we should be living.
Yeah. I love that. Once we understand, from going back to my idea of the personal reality, that actually culture, society, community is literally the summation of personal realities. It's just us, our personal reality summing up to create a collective reality. And so anyway, when we speak about changing the world and changing our society, we often speak about it as if it's an outside thing. But to change a culture, to change a community or a way of living of the people, it often begins with changing your personal reality. Because your personal reality is what is causing, what is creating culture, right? So culture is just, behaviors and habits that were all collectively agreed on by people. And each time one person says, I'm no longer agreeing on that, that is us shifting culture, evolving culture, So Mother Teresa, I don't know if it's Mother Teresa or one of the big guys, has talked about, if you want to change the world, go change your life, begin with you first. And I love telling this to people. And for me, people will be like, I want to bring in gender equality or this in the world and all of that. And I often say, start first with yourself. Bring that balance within yourself, within the aspect of yourself. Then you will actually see it changing in the world. We want to empower the next generation. We have to actually change us. And that next generation would find a new culture that they don't have to be going through the limitations that we are going through right now, right? So it's like we change the world by individually changing ourselves. It's so simple. It's so much easier. If you focus on you and you focus on learning to listen to internal GPS, on creating life from your intuition, following your bliss, following your joy, the idea that right now many people in the world don't actually do things that they love, in 100 years will not be a truth. It will not be a cultural phenomenon. The cultural phenomenon 100 years from now will be that everyone gets to follow what they love, that bliss and so on and so forth. And that reality will exist because this us right now, we chose to change it by just focusing on us, in just as an individual. And that's for me the thing that drives me so much. Teaching people to realize that actually, in a way, you are leading your life and leading other people and leading other generations. You're creating the next century. And it's scary, exciting. For me, it's like, okay, let's do the next century. 21st century. This is what I envision for my future children and the next generation.
Yeah.
Let it be
Yes.
that no one ever does things that they do not love, because we
Yeah.
talk about mental well-being and
Yeah.
how right now it's a real problem, a real issue in Africa. And
Yeah, absolutely. That and non-communicable diseases. I mean, we talk a lot
yeah,
about your communicable diseases like your HIV, AIDS, your TB, malaria, and all those diseases. And yes, there are, it's you can't even count the numbers. And then to make matters worse, our health systems are not coping. And now there are other diseases like your non-communicable diseases, your cancer, your diabetes, your high blood pressure, all those diseases that the African culture does not even have proper terms for them. And it's all to do with running away from our intuition, if you really think about it. We're eating the wrong
disconnection.
foods. We're eating, that's a great word to use, disconnection. So even with the mental awareness, the whole structure of Ubuntu that Africa works with is it's not there anymore because of migration, because of war, because of whatever it is, because there's no one protecting us, our current generation, and those who are coming up. There's no sharing of intuition, of tradition, of harnessing the cultural habits that are actually good and moving forward with those. We are using the bad habits as a crutch to say, well, that's how the world is. And it's actually, the world is a reflection of who we are internally. And when we don't, and I love the statement you're talking about in terms of you need to be the change. So it's Mahatma Gandhi actually who says that, be the change that you want to see. Because as human beings, we've got a lens on our eyes. We see the world the way we think it is, but actually it's not what it is. We see the world from a lens that society or other people or culture, whatever it is, has put on us. So we are seeing the world through other people's eyes and thinking that it's us who's seeing that. So when you take that internal journey to really understand who you are, you will remove all those blinders and you'll be able to see a reflection of who you are inside. And when you grow from the inside out, your world becomes better as well. And it's just, again, about bringing that light out. When you have your own personal reality in check, it becomes easier to see the abundance that this world has. I mean, think of simple things like breathing in oxygen that we need to be alive. When you take a walk in nature or in your garden, you're breathing out oxygen that the trees need. So we're living in symbiosis. We are connected in so many ways to everything in our world, right? So when you now take that journey to strengthen your own connection within yourself, what you're actually doing is you're strengthening the connection that we have with other people, because you're no longer the weaker point. You are now a stronger point because you know who you are inside. You can now elevate and be able to become a stronghold on other people in your society. So when you're using other people's weak spots as your blinders, then everything becomes disconnected, like the word that you're using, which is amazing. And we just need to find a way of becoming connected with ourselves first. Because when we become stronger, then we can make all other spaces that are disconnected and weaker stronger as well, because we now bring more positive energy to that, as opposed to pointing fingers. And when you point fingers, the other three are literally pointing back at you. So it's like, well, you can point fingers to another person, but perhaps the reason why you're pointing fingers is because you do not want to face your own challenges. You don't want to grow from your own challenges, because everything, as we had said earlier in the conversation, everything is a lesson, right? Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. If it's a bad thing, then you learn from it and you grow and you use another direction. If it's a good thing, great, you accelerate and move forward toward where you want to be. So I love that we get to have these conversations, and I'm so grateful for you to bring me on, Joy, because I can have a larger platform to show people that literally we do have the power and control within our minds and our brains. Part of my work is neuroscience-based coaching, where we study the brain and how we can harness it for higher performance in any area of our lives. And it's, for me, it's amazing how our bodies are made to serve our spirit and our soul in the way that brings us joy. However, we have started using our bodies in ways that are not loving of ourselves and our environment and our world. And in that, we've become cancerous. We've now got high blood pressure. We are anxious. We've got mental health challenges because, again, we have eaten away at the foundation of humanity, of really understanding that when I hurt, that means another person's hurting. When I love, that also means someone is loving. So we are all persons of influence. It's up to us whether we want to be a good influence or a bad influence. And it's also up to us to ask the question why. And when we follow our intuition and our curiosity and the things that bring us joy, those are breadcrumbs toward a higher consciousness, a higher self-awareness, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to know the people we should hang around with, who will feed our soul, and who we ourselves as individuals can also feed into, because everything is connected. So are we contributing to a looser connection, a disconnection? Are we contributing to something that brings us together? Because when my brother, when my sister is elevated, that also means I'm elevated, because I've given them of who I am, and they're not taking away or depleting who I am, but I am part of them. So we are contributing toward the same part of humanity. And the question is, what do I want to be in that part of humanity? And what can I contribute to that? And in not being myself, am I contributing? In being myself and authentic, am I also contributing? So those questions, so asking ourselves a different set of questions and allowing that quiet space and quiet time to really listen to your heart and your intuition and your gut instinct is really important for self-leadership and self-guidance, and using that internal GPS that you mentioned earlier, and just being in touch of how your body is feeling at physical level. Because as you said earlier as well, Joy, that itself is a guiding tool to what is, what is happening inside of you and what you need to start or to stop doing.
Wow. I love all this. Absolutely love this conversation. I mentioned why I was guided by my intuition to do this work, these conversations, and it has a lot to do with what we've been talking about, but also that when you see people like me and you who are, African women, and who are having these conversations that are outside the norm or outside the mainstream. For me, my idea is I want an 18-year-old, 15, 14-year-old to one day access this conversation and know that, like you're saying, that this is possible, because look at these people who look exactly like me, and they're talking about this higher consciousness, self-aware life, and living a life of joy. We speak a lot about Black joy in the community that I'm also part of, the literary community. We speak a lot about that conversation. What does Black joy look like? Like Black people really happy. Like, have we seen a model of that? Did we live around to experience some Black joy? And one of the things that I loved in this conversation are the questions that you've been asking everyone who's watching. I have been doing the art of asking questions for the past 5-6 years, and I think, I don't know if it's Einstein, one of the big guys. I'm very terrible to when remembering who said what. But one of these big guys said that the quality of your life is determined by the questions you are asking. What are you asking?
Absolutely.
Because whatever it is that you ask, the answers will become your life, will become your reality.
Yes.
Yeah. And Barbara has been like, I don't know, you guys, like, what are some of your favorite questions that she asked? Because I'm like, I need to write, because I think you asked us like 20 questions, which are so brilliant, So I love that. I love, we do need to be, that's also how we cultivate intuition, by asking the soul bigger questions, asking scarier questions. Like, what will it be if one day I just jump all in to the thing of my highest joy, right? And just see your entire team, where that's like your body is your team, your spirit is, that internal GPS is part of your your team, they're all here for you, you know. And if you ask them the big scary questions, they'll be like, okay, let's go answer this girl. You
I
know,
love that. I love the analogy of team. I've never heard it before. Wow, I love that. Yes.
this
Internal
is just
GPS and team.
intuitive. I
Yeah.
just came up with it.
I love
Yeah.
it. Your body team. So you've got a team within you already. That's amazing. I love it. I love that analogy. Thank you for sharing it. I love it. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
To add on to the around the quality of your questions, um, you know, when you start asking questions, they might not seem like they are. A lot of people be like, well, how do I know if the questions I'm asking are the right ones? The thing is, when you start asking questions, whatever they are, wherever you start, the more you get answers, the more better quality questions you get to ask, because now you've got questions of the lower level, you've got answers for the lower level questions. But the thing is, you have to start somewhere, right? So start with
Mm.
whatever question you have, then get the answer, then keep asking questions. And you'll find that within those answers, there will be other questions that come up. And so the more you dig deep into who you are and what you're curious about, the more questions that will come up, the better quality answers, the better way you get to lead your life if those answers are speaking to you. The other question that's also very good is, when you ask yourself, whatever questions you're asking, is where are my decisions leading me? because
Mm.
because we are the directors and the managers of our own lives, you are making a decision, especially as an adult, on whatever you're doing. You're making a decision to wake up, you're making a decision to wear whatever clothes or makeup or whatever it is, you're making a decision to eat whatever you're going to eat, you're making a decision to buy a car, buy food, whatever it is, you are making a decision each step of your life. So the question to ask at the beginning of the day, perhaps, is where are my decisions leading me? If my decisions are leading me to a space where I don't want to be, then I need to make better decisions, because clearly these decisions are not leading me to where I want to go. And especially if you know where you want to go, then it becomes easier. Then it says, okay, before I make a decision, I need to know what sort of decisions I need to make sure that they're leading me to where I want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, then maybe find decisions that lead you again to your joy, to the things that make you happy, fulfilled, the things you're curious about. So again, those two things, questions, like what you're talking about, joy, in terms of ask lots of questions. And
Mm.
to add on to that, ask where your decisions are leading you, because the decisions are leading you down a path to something else. You are living your life today. This is not a rehearsal. There's not going to be a bell that rings and says, okay, you can start your life now. That's not going to happen. You're
Yeah.
living your life now. So make sure that the decisions you're making are leading you to where you want to go, because only you know what you want in your life. Even if you're to tell your best friend or your best mate or whoever is closest to you something that has happened in your life, they can never fully understand it because they're not in your shoes. You are your only you. So you only you knows where your decisions or what your decisions are leading you to and where you would like them to. So,
Mm.
stand up for yourself, be conscious within who you are, lead yourself so you can allow other people to also see that it's possible. And you become the light in your tunnel of your life, so that other people can also use you as an example. And that becomes a beautiful, beautiful life. I can't say anything else beyond that. But follow your joy, follow the things you're curious about. And with that, you become a conscious leader for yourself and for other people, because you understand and embrace the journey.
Mm. I love this. I love this conversation. Just brings me so much joy.
Yeah,
uh,
good. That's important.
thank you so much, Barbara. Like this was, I love it. I love it. Like I have no words. It's just been such
My
joy
pleasure.
to
Thank you
journey.
so much for giving me this platform to also share with your audience.
Yeah,
It's what I love to do. This is my life purpose,
I
helping
love
other
that.
people see how and control they have. So I'm very
Yeah,
happy that I found purpose and I'm living it.
yeah, yeah. You can
Yeah.
actually also share with them if you know there's anything you want to share with them. I will definitely be sharing how they can connect with you wherever I'm going to be putting this on
Okay.
YouTube and all my pages. But if there's anything like you want to give them a call of action, this you can do that.
Absolutely. Do get hold of me. My email address is called Design Your Life Foundation, because this is all about designing the life you want to live, right? So designyourlifefoundation@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please drop me an email. I'm also on Instagram under my full name, which is Barbara Mutedzi. So you can find me there. You can send me a direct message. If you have any questions, if you need any information that Joy and I have shared on this platform, she's going to put this up on YouTube, which is awesome. So you can also chat to us on there, and I'll answer as many questions as I can as they come up. But do feel free to engage. Do not be afraid. Remember that fear can be false evidence appearing real, or you can turn it on its head, face everything and rise. Feel excited and ready to live the life that you want to lead. I'm so excited to have had this opportunity. And thanks again, Joy. Really appreciate you giving this platform for me to be able to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for this powerful transmission, powerful activation. I mean, I'm healed. I'm like ready to jump and rise. Yes. Thank you so much. It's been an honor having you here. Thank you guys for joining us. We are doing this every Tuesday here on YouTube, the Joy Mohammed Show. Yeah. Love and light.
Yes. Bye.